Hello and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. A lot of you are starting your preparation for Civil Services Exams 2027. One of the integral parts of your preparation has to be the notes making exercise. How to do it? What is the importance? Let's understand all of these in this session. Before I start, here is a very important announcement. Right now, the Unacademy IAS courses are available at a price of 16,999. Once you enroll, you get access to the live as well as recorded sessions, prelims, mains test series, reading material, and also the current affairs initiative you can. Those interested in enrolling, do check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description. And note that the offer is going to end on 31st May. And the English batch for 2027 prelims are going to start from 1st June. Geography sessions will be started by Mukesh sir and history by Abhishek sir. And whatever is the price mentioned in the website, use the code IAS English to get the discount as well as get an extension of up to 12 months free of cost. Let me begin the session now. One of the very important things that will make the topper stand out from everybody else in the civil services examination is that the topper would have made their own notes. Now, why should you make the notes? Let me explain to you the logical arguments behind it. First and foremost, the art of making notes will help you understand the topic very easily. For example, let's say you're reading something about topic within Indian economy. Let's say RBI's operations, RBI's tools, or for that matter, National Green Tribunal functions, or for that matter, Article 13, Article 19, etc. What you do is basically attend the session, then you're reading a book. But when you read a book, there is so much of information that is provided related to all of these particular topics. It's not possible for you to understand or remember all of these particular information which are given in number of pages. So the benefit of making notes is once you read this information from the book, close the book and recollect what you've read from the book and basically make these particular notes in the form of points. And when you do this, first and foremost, you are helping your mind recollect what you have heard in the classroom as well as what you have read in the textbook some time ago. And this will also help you remembering or memorizing these particular concepts for a very, very long duration. So, first and foremost, it will help you in analytical dissection or analytical understanding of this particular topic. Second, very important reason, you are not preparing for prelims examination here, you are preparing for prelims as well as mains examination. To begin with, listen to me very carefully. A lot of you treat preparation for prelims as well as mains as separately. My advice to you is do not separate them, keep a unified approach at least now. Argument is very simple. When you start dissecting or basically defining these particular topics, dividing these topics into prelims, mains only, then automatically your attention will be divided. Some of the topics you might concentrate more today, some of the topics you might start ignoring today itself. That approach, that is basically dividing the topics into prelims and mains, should be done only, let's say, if you're writing in the year 2027 from the month of January 2027. Because from January 2027, you need to be focused only on the revision for prelims examination. So, right now, do not try to differentiate. Treat the syllabus that is for prelims and mains equally at least now. So, argument is simple. You are preparing for prelims examination as well as mains examination. And according to me, your biggest challenge is not prelims, rather mains examination. Let me prove my point to you. Of course, yes, you will have to study for both of these levels or both of these particular exams, prelims and mains. But the problem that I find most of the students is the fact that they will spend a lot of time preparing for prelims and ignoring mains. And they will start preparing for the mains examination in the month of May, June once the prelims exams are over. and that is problem. Reason being, in prelims you are revising, you are supposed to basically find out the correct answer and round off the correct option like this. But in the mains examination, you have, I'm focused on general studies paper here, you have two types of questions. One question is given for 10 marks, another question is given for 15 marks. For 10 marker, you are supposed to write the answer in 150 words, and for 15 marker, you are supposed to write the answer in 250 words. The problem a lot of students will face in answer writing, especially in the mains exam, is that for some questions, they have 5,000 words. They don't know how to compress that into 150 or 250 words. And for some questions, which happens a lot of times, they have only 50 words. They do not know how to expand it to 150 or 250 words. So the problem is very simple. You have lot of data, you have lot of information. You can write an essay on this particular topic, but the UPSC is asking you to write this only in 250 words. How do you practice that? When you make notes, you will also be working on your answer writing practice as well. It will help you in answer writing. Let me explain this a bit more. Imagine you have read 3 or 4 pages on a particular topic. It could be functions of RBI. It could be fundamental rights in polity. It could be, right, let's say a topic under ecology and environment, etc. But when you're making notes, you're not simply taking everything that you've read and you're simply pasting it in the notes. And that is not the right strategy as well. You have read 4 pages. Now you're compressing these particular 4 pages, let's say, into half-pager notes. That is basically how you make notes, and also, right, basically it will help you compressing a lot of information, condensing a lot of information into a short format. So second, it will help you in answer writing. Third one, it will help you in easy revision as well. This is very, very important. Now imagine this. You're writing exams in 2027, prelims 2027, which will be in the month of May. You'll start revising for different subjects in the month of, let's say, January 2027. If you don't have notes, now you'll have to take books of all these subjects, starting from economics, polity, ecology and environment, geography, history, science and technology, social issues, etc. Now, when you have multiple books, these books are very bulky in nature. You cannot use or you cannot keep on reading everything from the books, because these books are very bulky, will have lot of pages. The time consumption will also be very, very high. Now, for the prelims examination, you must revise more. How many revisions? It varies from one student to another student based on understanding capacity, recollection capacity, etc. But for the prelims examination, you must have done at least 3 to 4 revisions. Again, underline the term, at least 3 to 4 revisions. More the revisions, better it is for you. But to revise these particular subjects, you cannot always go to the books. Start taking the books and start reading the books. That will be consuming a lot of time. And I'm talking about even those students who are making notes in the books itself. You might mark on the margin, you might underline in the book. But to revise, if you're going back to the book, it is going to consume a lot of time, because there are too many books that you are supposed to read and revise from. So, what is the best alternative then? Use the notes that you have done for easy revision. And here is one more very important point I want to make. When you're making notes, please do not make notes which is a replica of the books. I'll come to that point after some time, don't worry. So, third important point is it will help you in easy revision. So, imagine in the month of January, February, March, when you are revising, you are under tension, etc. You have made notes, right? Basically, for, let's say, economy, a 50-page notes are there, or 70-page notes are there. For polity, let's say 80, 90-page notes are there. It will help you in revising these particular subjects very, very easily. Fourth very important point is the syllabus for UPSC is very vast. Syllabus is very, very vast. In that particular case, right, it will help you when you make notes, it will help you keeping your preparation to minimum. A lot of students, especially the beginners, the mistake they make is They will purchase multiple books for the same subject. For static portion, they will purchase book XYZ, book ABC, book, right, EFG. Three books for the same subject. All the three books are covering almost the same concept. Static portion. Now, the problem will be one, you have already spent a lot of money to purchase the books. Second, you'll have to spend a lot of time in reading same concept in all the three books. And at the end of the day, the value addition will be very, very negligible. That's the reason for static portion, keep one standard book for reference. That's more than sufficient. Static portion, for example, Indian economy. In the market, you will get 20 authors, 20 books. But should you purchase all these 10 books or 20 books for reference for Indian economy? Not required. Just one standard book, please take it and use only one standard book for reference. In addition to that, you will have to update current affairs. That you will have to do in any case. Right? So it will help you in condensing the amount of references that you're supposed to do. That will help you in basically keeping your material to a very bare minimum. Fourth one. And the fifth one is when you keep on making notes, it will also help you connect current affairs with the static portion. For subjects such as ecology and environment, science and technology, economy, polity, there is a lot of current affairs that you need to read. The best way to keep on connecting the dots is to basically make notes. You can keep the approach, you can have the studies towards this particular subject in an integrated manner. How it can be done? Just give me some time, I'll explain that as well. So these are the five very important reasons why you people, especially those who are starting the preparation for the UPSC now, should make notes. Now the question is, agreed, how to make notes? Agreed to all these particular points. So now the question is how to make notes. Now, whenever you are making notes, I told you, first very important point, I told you, do not copy and paste whatever is there in the book. If you read about, let's say, articles under fundamental rights, if you read about certain constitutional authorities, if you read about, let's say, RBS functions, the important features of the GST, etc. Of course, yes, in the books, they would have explained a lot. They would have given lot of explanation, and the explanation will run into multiple pages. That's a fact, by the way. And that is done purposely because for a student, when the book is sold, the student must have sufficient information to understand the point that the author is trying to communicate. But when you read all of this, should you basically use Control C from the book and Control V on your notes? That essentially will be replica of your book. Then there is no point in making notes, trust me on that. So what you need to do is have a smart approach. Have a smart approach. First and foremost, know the syllabus. This is a very important point, by the way. Know the syllabus. You should know what is given in the syllabus. Of course, there can be a counterpoint saying that, sir, UPSC can ask questions from anywhere. That is true in any case. Know the syllabus. For GS paper 3, what is the syllabus? For GS paper 1, what's the syllabus? For prelims paper, what's the syllabus, etc. So know the syllabus according to the requirement of the syllabus. The benefit of knowing the syllabus will be you can make notes subject wise as well as topic wise. Remember this. Make notes subject wise and topic wise. And when I say make notes, please do not take up a book and start writing down continuously in the book. I've seen a lot of aspirants, the moment they start preparing for the civil services, they will take a book, 400 pager, 500 pager, or let's say 200 pager, and continuously one after the other, they'll keep on writing down, jotting down the points. The problem with that will be after, let's say, 1 month, after 2 months, because you have written the points one after the other, right? One subject after another subject continuously without bifurcation, etc. It will be very difficult for you to understand which subject is written where, which topic is mentioned where. So my suggestion, this is my sincere suggestion to all of you who are starting the preparation now. Make notes in A4 sheets. I know all these recommendations will be very insignificant to begin with. But in a larger scheme of the things, when you look at after 1 year, after 8 months, what is the level of your preparation, to what extent you are able to revise, etc. These things will matter a lot at that point of time. My suggestion to all of you is that you make notes in A4 sheets. It is easier, one, to keep these particular sheets in order. Please number the sheets according to the subject, according to the, right, let's say the paper, etc. So that you will be able to understand that this particular sheet belongs to economy, this sheet belongs to polity, etc. That is the first important point. Second, when you make the notes in A4 sheets, you can arrange the static portion, followed by this you can arrange the sheets of current affairs of the same topic. That can be done, and you can adjust according to your requirement. There are certain topics in each of the subjects, by the way, which will require more coverage, that is in terms of notes, and there are certain topics which will require very insignificant coverage or very less coverage. And when you make the notes in the form of A4 sheets, you are effectively practicing answer writing in an unruled sheet. The sheet, or let's say the papers which do not have lines. Because I don't know how many of you know this. In the mains examination, when the booklet is given to you, the answer booklet does not have, right, let's say the rule or the horizontal lines. So you need to practice anyways in these kind of sheets. It will also help you understanding whether your handwriting is legible when you write in these kind of sheets, whether you are able to write the lines in a straight way or it will become diagonal over a period of time, etc. It is practicing for mains answer writing as well. So my suggestion, make the notes subject wise, topic wise, and make the notes in A4 sheets. That will help you in easy, right, let's say arrangement of the notes. Third very important point in this context is, should you make notes in paragraphs or should you make notes in point wise? My recommendation is you make notes point wise. And I'll show you some of the examples of the notes that I have made. Don't worry. These are some of the notes that I've made, and I know some of you will be ready to basically type in the comment section, sir, your sheets, whatever you have written on the sheet is not visible. I do understand. Let me show these particular notes after some time. Don't worry. So my recommendation, please do not write these particular points in paragraph wise. Do not write in expanded form. Please write in point wise, and especially those particular, let's say, concepts or those particular, right, certain data point, etc., or certain points. If it is easier for you to recollect, pick up a keyword, mention only the keyword. And there are certain difficult concepts where it is difficult for you to remember everything. There, more than a keyword, write in a form of a statement so that you're working smart and not simply working hard. And please understand, if you keep on writing everything in the notes, the length of the notes will be very, very long. Again, it will be very difficult for you to revise as well as, right, basically understand these concepts in a longer duration. So the point wise format works better for a student. Fourth important point is the sorry, when you're making the notes, it is always better to make notes using, let's say, certain flowcharts. Using certain flowcharts, or for that matter, using tables, or in certain subjects such as history, geography, etc., draw easy diagrams. Easy diagrams. For example, let's say you want to write about, right, in which places, let's say, cotton is cultivated. Major states, cotton cultivation can be done. In addition to this, you also need to, right, find out major states where jute cultivation is done, major places where, right, let's say the semiconductor plants are set up, etc., right, in case of geography and economic geography. It is better if you can draw a small map of India and map out all of these particular, let's say, important facts or important points. Within one particular map, you can basically use this particular map to have locations of multiple important points like this. So that is the importance. And in case of flowcharts, why the flowcharts will be so important for you? Let's say you want to write about how, right, let's say the president can be impeached. You want to talk about, let's say, the process of, right, making a bill into an act, etc. So in such cases, and not just in case of polity, you can use the idea of a flowchart even in case of economics as well. So instead of writing 4 to 5 lines, can you simply write it in a form of a flowchart with arrow mark? Within 1 or 2 lines, the whole process can be mentioned. So use of flowcharts, tables as well as the diagrams is also very important. And the fifth one, this is my advice to all of you. Do not write all the notes which are important for prelims as well as mains in a single sheet like this. Try to bifurcate. Even if you write it, have a method to bifurcate. Sir, what do you mean by this? Let's say you are making a note on scheme of government of India. For example, this year there is a law, insolvency and bankruptcy code, which has completed 10 years, which makes it a very important subject or very important topic for upcoming mains examination. So when you're writing about IBC, should you write everything related to IBC in one sheet? That will make the, let's say, the coverage of the topic, no doubt, exhaustive, but the problem will be the coverage in the sheet will also be very, very high. But all these particular topics or all these pointers under IBC are not relevant only for prelims. For example, evaluation of IBC. How effective has IBC been? Right? What has been the outcome of IBC? What are the issues related to IBC? These points are not relevant for prelims. These are relevant for mains examination. So what is a better way to do it? Better way to do it is, when you're writing it, if you want to write it in a single sheet, at least use, let's say, a different color pen, or at least write a mark, right? So that using a pencil, etc. So that when you're using these notes for revision, you are not revising what is relevant for mains examination for prelims. And what is relevant for prelims examination, you're not unnecessarily revising it during the mains examination. If you can take care of it while making notes itself, it will make your process of preparing for UPSC, it will reduce the burden, it will make it very easy for you. Done? Right? So these are certain very important pointers that you need to keep in mind when you're making notes. Now coming to the point, sir, any example of how to make handwritten notes? Should I make it online? Should I make it handwritten? It all depends on your convenience. My preference for static portion, I'll be very frank with you. My preference for the static portion is to make handwritten notes. And for current affairs, I generally maintain, right, the repository online. That is, I make notes online. For example, have a look at this. All of you, please have a look at this. This is the notes that I made basically for financial market chapter, covering the important concepts in the financial market chapter. In this, I've made short notes on money market, right? What are the important tools under the money market? What is the capital market? The important types of, right, let's say, instruments within the capital market, that is the primary market, secondary market. What is the difference between the shares, right? Different types of shares, right? What are the different types of AIFs? What are market infrastructure institutions? The IPO, FPO, right? And the different types of instruments under the money market. This is one example, right? I'll give you one more example. This is one more sheet, right? Basically, I wrote for making my notes for covering the chapter inflation. In this particular, right, mind map I've created, the notes are again focused on prelims examination here. Based on the rates, what is the classification? What are the different types of inflation, such as cost push, demand pull, right? What are the different measures, right, such as CPI, WPI, etc. So argument is very simple here. You can download the PPT, have a look at it as well. These notes that I've made are not for mains examination. If I had made these particular notes for mains examination, I will have to write a lot of information regarding flexible inflation targeting. The 10 years of FIT, what has been the benefit, what has been the concern, what has been the recommendation of different experts, etc. So that is relevant for mains examination. That's the reason I've not mentioned that kind of information in these notes which are relevant for the prelims examination. So my advice to all of you is make notes. My suggestion is please make notes. And these particular notes should basically be helping you in easy revision. It should be helping you to recollect these particular things that you have come across or read. And trust me when I say this, if you don't make notes and if you keep on depending on the books, today you have time to read. Today you have time to go through 800 pages for different subjects individually. But later on, when you enter into the month of January, February, March, and in the month of May, exams are fast approaching. It is not possible. You will come under a lot of pressure, and that will reflect in the performance in the examination. Right? Now, for example, a lot of you will be thinking, great, can we have one or two exercises which will help me in understanding how to make notes? For example, this is an article from today's Hindu newspaper. I've taken two articles, by the way. Right? So I'll magnify this particular article. I'll basically, right, I want you to pause the video right now and have a look at the article. I'm pretty sure the article is visible to all of you now. This is the magnified version of the article. Pause the video. Right, have a look at the article. Now just pause the video for 2 to 3 minutes, look at the article and try to find out which are the important points within the article. I'll tell you what are the important points, but pause the video now and find out what are the 2 or 3 important pointers from current affairs perspective. Done? You have paused and seen the article. Now, if you have paused the article and read the article, these are the pointers from the current affairs that you should have taken away and you should have made notes on this. Right? First important point from this article is the total amount of dollars which have flown out of India, right, is $30.8 billion in 25 and 26. And this is 6 times compared to the outflow of dollars in 24 and 25. Important current affairs point. Second important current affairs point is BOP deficit has grown in 25-26 because of fall in net foreign investments coming into India and right increasing trade deficit. That is a second very important point from current affairs. Third important point that you should have taken note of is this one. Further, the deficit in 25 and 26 was entirely paid for using RBI foreign exchange reserves. Now, I've also highlighted certain other points with yellow color marker. These particular points you should not be noting down in the current affairs notes for a simple reason. These points are static in nature. When you study the subject of Indian economy and within Indian economy, all these points by default are discussed. These points are there in your notes already. So these are the 3 very important points of current affairs that I would be taking away, and this is basically the note that I've made using this article. Let's do the same exercise for another article from Ecology and Environment. Please pause the video and have a look at the article. Read the article once and try to think and find out what are the important points that you should take away from this article. Pause the video. Done? Okay. Now, what are the important points from this particular article you should have taken away and made notes? First important point is in the first paragraph itself. NGT has sought reply from the state governments as well as the central government regarding the issues associated with right increasing temperature, that is the heat wave and the impact of heat wave. That is one important point. Second important point is the NGT, National Green Tribunal, is a statutory body. Please mention that if it is not there in the notes of static portion, mention in the current affairs notes. And second important point from the same article is that NGT can take up the cases suo moto. Right? NGT has taken up this particular case suo moto. If this is not there in the static notes, mention it in the current affairs notes. And the third important point from this article is this one. It added that distinguishing between urban and rural heatwave conditions, a policy, region-specific strategy and adaptation planning is required. This is a very, very important point. So these are the 3 very important points from the NGT that you should have taken away from this article and made it in the form of, let's say, short 3-pointer notes. And when you make these kind of current affairs notes along with the static notes, it will help you in easy revision over a period of time. Done? So just to summarize, what we have discussed in the last 25 minutes is, if you're an aspirant who is preparing for 2027 exams, or for that matter 2028 exams, my strong advice to all of you is to start making notes. It has multiple benefits. Yes, I do agree. To begin with, it is a time consuming exercise. Right? I'm not going to bluff you. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. It is a time consuming exercise, but please do not think of this exercise in short term, look at it in long term. In long term, will it provide you the benefits? Will it provide you much better benefits? Will it provide you a competitive edge over your competitors, your peers in the UPSC examination? My answer is an emphatic yes. So please practice from today onwards the notes making. And this will be one of the most important things that you will be doing in your UPSC preparation. What are your thoughts regarding this? Do let me know in the comment section. If you have liked the session, do not forget to hit the like button. If you're yet to join the Unacademy IAS English YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Thank you. Have a great day.